Hi everyone, the Poker Pro Acesup here for PokerNerve.com. Here's a quick look at a snippet from one of our tutorials on bluffing and a hand example with a pretty big bluff. Let me know in the comments below what you would have done. And please like and subscribe for regular content like this. And don't forget to hit that YouTube alarm button so you'll be notified when we upload new videos. Let's check it out.
But if you think your opponent was drawing, but may have a better high card, a small bet should be enough to get the job done and win the pot. But then again, if you're trying to get your opponent to fold middle pair or better, a bigger bet might be required. Or there's sense not to attempt a bluff if you think your opponent isn't likely to fold, of course. But you'd be surprised how much credit and therefore fold equity you can get with your bluffs if the situation is right, as we'll see. Which allows you to win more pots, accumulate more chips, and be a more dangerous player. In this hand here, after a solid player raises and another solid player 3-bets, I decide to call with my jacks. The 3-better could be a little wide because he's on the button, but given the situation, I was leaning toward my opponent having a very strong hand here. So opted to keep the pot small with my jacks since I didn't fancy 4-betting out of position and building a big pot this deep. Or also giving my opponent the opportunity to 5-bet and put me under a lot of pressure. Also post-flop, although out of position, I'll be able to hopefully wield a skill edge, as well as have a well-disguised strong hand, and of course speculative value to boot, if we manage to flop the third nipple. So check calling on the flop is in line with the plan. Controlling the pot with what could be the best hand, but looking for more information on the turn, which we then get with a check back. But in this hand, there is also the subplot. You should always have one. Is there any way to win this pot, even if we don't happen to have the best hand? Regardless of your hand strength, this is something good players are constantly thinking. And remember what we discussed about effective hand strength. It all boils down to what you think your opponent is likely holding. And here, the final piece of information we need comes along. The river value bet. Very unlikely to be a bluff, and confirms my feel this hand that my opponent was value raising pre-flop with a strong hand and is now value betting. Which would likely mean our opponent has queens, kings, or aces. After we checked turn and he checked back, it would seem most likely he suspects diamonds are part of our range and opted to pot control. However, with our river check, he now weights our range back toward pair combinations and thinks it's safe to value bet. So we need to manipulate his thinking and force him to weight us back to flushes or sets. To do so, what do we need to do? What amount should we bet to try to win this hand? Is there an amount? And this brings us to bet sizing and SPR considerations. Notice we have room to bluff given the deep stacks we started with this hand, and an SPR of 3 after the river bet here. Although an SPR of 1 can be great to have on the river when bluffing, that's when you're the first aggressor, such as on a triple barrel bluff, where you've set up the SPR of 1 for the full pot-sized river jam that puts a lot of pressure on your opponent. However, when there's an action before you on the river, ideally you'd like to have an SPR of 2 to get the same sort of leverage from your stack. So we've got the stack size we need to execute a bluff, but would our story check out? Well, if I had a hand like a flush or say pocket tens here, the line taken is very conceivable. But given we're trying to fold out our opponent's likely strong hand, an overpair, how much should we bet here? We need to bet big and hence move all in this situation. Remember, anytime you can put the top of an opponent's range to a very difficult decision is a time to consider running a bluff. This was such a time and our opponent folded. Note that we risked around 3,500 to win 1,200, which means
Want to take your game to the next level? Make sure you check out our MTT poker course. And please like and subscribe for more content. Thanks for watching.